Hey there! For those who are new to my channel, my name is Zach and I'm 20 years old Russian who left Russia because of the war against Ukraine. In the previous video I told about my journey leaving Russia to Azerbaijan, Baku, and today I'll tell you about my life in Tbilisi, Georgia. Already on the passport control, I was surprised by the Ukrainian flag. I've seen a huge Ukrainian flag on the passport control. I was really feeling great because in Azerbaijan I haven't seen any things in support of Ukraine. Yeah, of course, some of the taxi drivers and some of the locals, they were saying that yeah, nobody wants any war, but there were not really like signs of support in favor of Ukraine. So once I came to Tbilisi, even like at the passport control, there was a huge Ukrainian flag and I felt really great about it. The next day I came to Tbilisi, I rented an apartment and I will show you some of the pictures of it. So this is basically the entrance area. So here is the entrance, and behind there is some kind of hallway where there are many apartments are. Here are a bunch of my shoes, my basketball shoes, because I used to play basketball. Some kind of, I don't know, shelf for clothes. This is the bathroom, so we got a toilet, a shower, a washing machine, no drying machine because it's not the US, it's Europe. I mean, yeah, some people consider Georgia as Europe. It's pretty basic, but it's okay. So yeah, here we go. We got two rooms. We go there after this one. This is a living room and it is pretty huge. It's basically like, I don't know how many square meters, but I think at least maybe 30 or 35, because the whole apartment is about 70 square meters. So here, I don't really spend time here. Usually if I have some friends visiting me, like maybe a couple of days ago, I got a couple of friends from my hometown. They just sleep here on the couch surfing the couch. It's pretty messy, don't pay attention to this. Sometimes, you know, it's so huge, so sometimes I just go around. It's like my basically backyard of my room, because sometimes I just need to have a walk and I don't want to go outside. So yeah, I don't really spend time much here. Here is a kitchen. Right now I cook a really delicious meatballs with potatoes. Oh my gosh, it looks really amazing. And I got some dill and some lavash to eat it with. Yeah, it's my kitchen. It's a little bit messy, but you know, it is what it is. Nobody's perfect. Here is my room. Of course, the first thing you see is a white blue flag. What this flag does mean, just Google the white blue flag. It's basically the anti-war flag of Russia. So every day I wake up and I look at the flag and I remember there is still war going on. Here we got my work place. I got two monitors to edit videos in a handy way. I got my mic, my headphones, and I got a fan because sometimes it's really hot here in Georgia, and I got this TikTok kind of lamp. It looks pretty decent to me. I mean, I think this is my best workplace I ever had in my life. So I'm pretty happy about it. And the PC, actually, I brought it all the way from the US to Russia and then to Georgia, and also this monitor. And this one I bought here in Tbilisi. It's like used. Anyway, here I got a couple of the books. I got Douglas Adams, The History of Napoleon Bonaparte, and the War in 21st Century. It's like philosophical evaluation of the war in the 21st century. And here I actually got a couple of the songs by the Ukrainian author Andrei Malishko and Platon My Boroda. It's, you know, it's just for fun because I don't really read this, but it looks pretty cool, so I just have it as a souvenir. And also I have this. Actually, I forgot how do you call it. It's called Federation of Jewish Communities of Russia. I have been living in Jewish autonomous region for like 4 years, so I'm kind of used to see a lot of Jewish people, even though it's not really populated with the Jewish people anymore. Oh, and yeah, I forgot to mention that I live in a Fifth Avenue of Tbilisi. That's actually, I don't really like this because look at the amount of the cars over there, and all the time the pedestrians, they are crossing the road in like on a red light, and all the time the drivers are like beep beep, so I hate it very much. I'm actually thinking about moving out to a different place because I spent like 6 months almost here, so I want to get another experience of living in another neighborhood. So yeah, you can just hear the noise. It looks pretty decent though, especially in the nighttime. It's relatively okay. It's not really like fancy or something. It's a little bit empty, but as long as I spend time in my room, I'm totally fine. I pay $250 without bills, and with every bill it comes to $300, which is really cheap. Especially, I was really lucky because I got to Tbilisi pretty early, and I was really lucky that one of my best friends with whom I was renting an apartment in Moscow, he literally has relatives in Tbilisi, and they helped me, like they picked me up from my hotel, they looked for an apartment for me, and they really helped me, so I'm really grateful for them. It was my first experience ever renting by myself, literally without anyone else, because firstly I was going to live alone by myself without a roommate. Then Lera just joined me because she got no place to stay, and it was kind of fun experience because I was thinking they just gonna fool me, like the owner of the apartment, they just gonna fool me, and I was actually ready to lose some money because I understood that I'm alone, a foreigner in a foreign country, anything can happen to me. But actually everything went really like smoothly great, and nothing happened. It was really great, and I'm really grateful for the Georgian people in general. So once I've moved in an apartment, it was pretty empty. At least I needed a table, like I needed a kitchen table, I needed just a work table so I can build up my setup and record videos for you. So I went to furniture supermarket, I bought myself a couple of chairs, two tables, and a chair, like a work chair, like office chair, where I'm sitting at right now. And it was kind of fun because it was my first ever experience just buying furniture on my own, because I'm only 20 and I've never moved in an apartment by myself. And usually in Russia, when you move in an apartment, there is always furniture that you can use. That's basically, you don't need to buy anything. So the first months I came, it was kind of hard emotionally because I just didn't really understand what was going on with my life, where am I right now. And I literally spent 1 month just sitting at home and like reading news every day for several hours. I started just to buy some trash food from the supermarket. I know I'm just being a 20 years old kid eating trash food, but then my life kind of got better because I started to go to the gym, and gym really helped me out because I think working out really helps your mentality like go through hard times. So then I started to cook for myself, and I was really surprised by the prices on vegetables and fruits, especially since I got the experience of living on my own in my Russian dorm. So I got this experience just cooking at least basic things, not like super complicated Russian traditional stuff, but still. Georgian cuisine, by the way, is really great, like one of the greatest cuisines I ever tried. My favorite things are khinkali, which are basically dumplings, which is really tasteful dumplings. I think for now I consist of like 1% of khinkali, like my body. Like they say that your body consists out of 80% of water. Yeah, I consist of 1% of khinkali because I've ate so many of them. I should have actually counted how many khinkali I've eaten in this period, but I think like a lot. Yeah, for sure. The second thing I really love is khachapuri, which is basically like cheese pie, or like some people will call it pizza if you would say khachapuri migreli, because there are different types of khachapuri, and there's just different types of really good and healthy things in the Georgian cuisine. So I really recommend, if you come here, just of course, first thing to do in Georgia, go to the restaurant to try Georgian cuisine. So yeah, once I came, I literally spent 1 month doing nothing because I was just really lost. I felt really lost and maybe a little bit anxious. But then I found out that I can volunteer, and there is a food bank for Ukrainian refugees in Tbilisi. So I started to volunteer, and I've spent like maybe a little bit less than a month volunteering, helping for Ukrainian refugees. I met many Ukrainians there, of course, and they were totally fine with actually Russians helping them, because I was thinking, okay, me as a Russian, I think they're just angry with any Russians, so they will not be able just to see me. But all of the volunteers who've been there, they are all Russians, and Ukrainians were totally fine speaking Russians to us, because I mean, I don't really know Ukrainian language. That's the only common language we have. Then I've stopped to volunteer because there were so many people, and I've just realized that me as a public person who's making videos on YouTube, I can make more impact just doing things and trying to fundraise for Ukrainian refugees. I made a video about this food bank. We fundraise some money for them. Every 2 weeks, I buy groceries for them. I buy things they needed. They just publish what they need and I just go and buy it. Also, this volunteer center, they rent houses for refugees because, of course, Georgian government, they trying to rent and provide accommodations for the refugees, but they cannot provide every refugee with accommodation because there are so many of them here. And most of the refugees who come to Tbilisi, who come to Georgia, those are the refugees from the occupied territories by Russia. So those are the people who were literally sent out to Russia. They went through these concentration camps, and then they were able just to leave Russia to the closest country, which was Georgia. Speaking of Tbilisi, Tbilisi is a great city. I'm in love with this city. Especially once I came, the first things I mentioned, basically the amount of Ukrainian flags all over on the streets, wherever you go, in every cafe, in every restaurant, on every ATM, in every supermarket, there is Ukrainian flags and a phrase "Slava Ukraini," which basically means "Glory to Ukraine," and it felt really great. Tbilisi consists out of old city, which is basically really beautiful old architecture. You can see buildings from 18th century, 19th century, some of the really old historical castles or churches, which are really beautiful. Well, what do you think about Tbilisi?
The best. Tbilisi is the best city in the world. No one city can't stay with Tbilisi on one level. Okay.
Okay, nice. Agree with you. And also combined with this, there is a really modern and civilized neighborhoods as Saburtalo, as Vake, as Vera, and they are really nice. They are really beautiful, but unfortunately right now they're really expensive. So I live in the outskirts of Tbilisi, and where I live, it a little bit feels like home because there are so many Soviet blocks, and I just used to grow up in one of them while my life in Komsomolsk in the far east of Russia, and it feels a little bit like home. I wouldn't say that in a good way because I've never felt really comfortable in my own hometown because of those commie blocks. Yeah, but it is what it is. Prices right now for accommodations in Georgia, they are really expensive because so many Russians came, so many Ukrainian refugees came, and it's just really popular place for digital nomads to come here. There is a lot of beautiful street art of Tbilisi. You can literally spend hours just going around the narrow streets of Tbilisi, of Old Town, and look at the street art. It feels really cozy in general. Recently I've been to Istanbul. It was kind of crowded. There were many people going fast somewhere. So Istanbul didn't really feel so comfortable as Tbilisi. Because of course in Tbilisi there is, I think, approximately 2 million people live here. But in the whole Istanbul, I guess it's 8 times more. So of course it's just gonna be that way. Also, I want to mention that the prices for food and services, they are cheap. Of course, not for locals because the average salary in Tbilisi in Georgia is kind of small. It's about $350 or $400. And of course, what's cheap for me feels really expensive for local people. We were making a video of my neighborhood with Slava from Russian Plus. You can check it out. And we asked a babushka, which is basically a old lady, about their pension, because that's the only source of their money, of their income, being retired. And they said their pension is about 300 lari, which is basically $100, which is crazy to me. I don't really know how people survive on that money here. I've heard it from many Russians. They compare Baku, which is the capital of Azerbaijan, to Moscow, and I also felt that way because they're trying to build all those wide streets. Feels like they want to use those oil money as Russia does in Moscow. Tbilisi felt like Saint Petersburg. And for many people, actually, I've been to Saint Petersburg when I was a kid, but still, many people whom I met here, they're saying that St. Petersburg is really cozy and Tbilisi feels the same way. There are many people who are related to art. There are many intellectual people. And St. Petersburg used to be known in Russia for the city of intelligentsia, which is a intellectual part of our society of Russia. Tbilisi, of course, is really beautiful, but outside of Tbilisi, there is a huge country of Georgia. And Georgia is a really great, interesting country because even though there is only 5 million people living there, but there are so many different, interesting places. So one of my first trips, I think 2 months after I've spent in Georgia, I went to a trip with a taxi driver I met while taking a taxi. And he just offered me to go to Gori, which is a village a city, some people would call it, where Joseph Stalin was born. So we went there and I went to a museum of Stalin and they got a house where Stalin was born. And it felt kind of weird because basically it's the only one house on the whole street. There used to be a street full of houses, and the only house survived is the house of Stalin. So they basically erased all of the houses except his house. So this is a building where Stalin was born. His family, they were renting a room over there in this part of the house, and the landlord was living in that part of the house. And also his father was he was fixing boots of people in this kind of dungeon. And I went there for an excursion in the Museum of Stalin, and they got a huge statue of Stalin, which is just crazy to me to imagine. And we went to excursion. There are different types of excursion: Russian, English, and Georgian. I went to Russian one, and the lady were saying so many good things about Stalin. And people were saying, but he did this, what about gulags and stuff? And she was like, well, yes, some people criticize Stalin for being a little bit cruel, but he was just a strong leader, and he just wanted the best for his country. And also a taxi driver I was taking a ride with, he was really nostalgic about Soviet Union. So it feels to me that all the people here in Georgia, they are for the most part are really nostalgic about the USSR. And as far as I know, to be honest, Georgia was living a really good life in Soviet Union. As far as I know, Georgia were producing 4 times less than it consumed, literally 4 times more products, goods, they were imported in Georgia than exported from here. The next trip I went with Dave Legenda. That's an Italian guy who used to live in Russia.
We spent 22 hours on the marsrutka from Yakutsk to Oymyakon once, and it was still more comfortable than this one.
And he was traveling around Russia a lot, so he came to Georgia too, and we met together, and we decided to go to Signahi. And Signahi, we were expecting to go there, and it's going to be just Soviet blocks on top of the mountain. But it appeared to be, as he said, being Italian, the second San Marino, which was really weird even to think about being in Georgia. The third trip I went around Georgia was the trip with Slava from Russian Plus, Darby Step, and Sophie Claire. This monastery behind me is called Juari Monastery.
It was founded in the 6th century.
That's so gorgeous. What do you know about it, Slava?
What I know about it is this type of monastery became the founder of all the churches you see these days in Armenia and Georgia.
Check out their channels in the description below. It was a really great trip. Darius Step and Slava, they released really cool and beautiful videos about those trips. Check them out. And it was really great because Slava rented a car, and we went around the whole Georgia on cars. We went to the mountain Kazbegi, and then we went to the winery valley, which was really great. So you should just check out the video. I'll be there. Yeah, so just check it out. That's it for today. In the next video, I'll tell you more about how it feels to be a Russian in Georgia. There are many important things to be mentioned because in 2008, Russia invaded Georgia the same way as Russia did to Ukraine. I want to say thanks again to all of the people who support me. I hope this war will end soon. Stop Putin, stop the war.